The galaxy knew her name with fear. Every world, every tribe, every warrior whispered it like a warning. The savage alien queen. She ruled a dark and powerful empire where no male was allowed to step close to her throne. For years, she rejected leaders, soldiers, and even royal suitors who tried to impress her. None were strong enough. None were pure enough. None were worth her time. Her people said she hated all males. Some said she was cursed. Others believed her heart was made of stone. But the truth was far more dangerous. She trusted no one because once, long ago, someone she loved had betrayed her in the worst way. Since that day, her heart stayed locked behind iron walls. She walked through her throne hall wearing a long, sharp crown made from the bones of defeated enemies. Even her own generals bowed with fear. No one dared look directly into her eyes. When she walked, the air inside the palace turned cold. When she spoke, the strongest warriors trembled. She ruled alone, and she preferred it that way. Her name was Queen Zalira, but everyone called her the untouchable flame. Yet everything changed on one strange morning. Across the border of her empire, a lone human traveler named Evan Carter moved through her wild forest lands. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was only a simple explorer searching for safe passage through the alien region. But he took a wrong turn and crossed into the Queen's territory, something no outsider ever survived. Her patrol guard spotted him first. "He is human," one guard said, confused. "Weak, unarmed, and walking like the forest belongs to him. Capture him," the captain ordered. "The Queen must see this." Evan did not resist. He raised his hands slowly, calm and steady, as if he didn't fear the blades pointed at his throat. Most outsiders cried or begged. Evan stayed still, breathing slowly, watching the aliens with quiet eyes. His calmness irritated them. They expected fear, not courage. He was taken to the Queen's throne hall where hundreds of warriors stood on guard. The hall was huge, with tall stone pillars and a glowing blue fire pit in the center. The air felt heavy with power and strict silence. Queen Zalira sat on her golden black throne, her long tail curled around the armrest like a warning. Her silver eyes scanned Evan from head to toe. She expected him to scream. She expected him to kneel. She expected him to fall apart under her gaze, but Evan did none of that. He stood straight, breathing slow, meeting her eyes without shaking. For the first time in many years, the Queen felt something unexpected, curiosity. "Why do you not kneel?" she asked, her voice sharp like metal. Evan swallowed but did not bow. "Because I don't kneel for anyone who threatens me." The entire hall gasped. Warriors gripped their weapons. The Queen leaned forward slowly, almost amused. "You speak boldly for someone in chains." "I speak honestly," Evan replied. "And honesty doesn't change with fear." The Queen's soldiers expected she would kill him instantly. But she didn't. Instead, she tilted her head, studying this strange human who dared to challenge ancient customs. She had seen thousands of warriors in her life. None had looked at her like this. None had met her eyes without trembling. None had spoken without fear. "Remove his chains," she ordered. Her guards hesitated. No one understood what she was thinking, but they obeyed. Evan rubbed his wrist gently and stood taller, still calm. Her warriors looked at him as if he were insane. A human without armor, without weapons, without any kind of power, yet he acted like he was equal to their queen. It made no sense. The Queen crossed the hall, her steps slow and graceful, her presence heavy like thunder. "You are far from human lands," she said. "Why should I not take your life?" Evan held her gaze. "Because taking my life will not give you anything, but letting me speak might." The hall fell silent again. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "You think I need words from a weak human?" "No," Evan said. "But maybe you need truth, and I'm not afraid to give it." This time she didn't hide her reaction. Her eyes flickered. Surprise, interest, maybe even something deeper. Her people watched, stunned. Their queen never allowed a male to speak so freely. She never let anyone challenge her authority. Yet this human, she let him live. She let him talk. "Bring him to my council chamber," she finally ordered. "I want to see more." The warriors stared in shock. Some whispered, "She has lost her mind," while others whispered, "Maybe the human is cursed." But the Queen ignored all voices except one, the quiet voice inside her that said, "This human is different. This human is dangerous, not because he can harm her, but because he might reach the part of her heart she buried long ago. As Evan was escorted out, he noticed something strange. The Queen didn't look at him with hatred. She looked at him with something else, something guarded, sharp and curious. For the first time in her life, Queen Zalira felt a powerful threat, not from war, not from enemies, but from a simple human who refused to bow, and she hated the fact that a small part of her wanted to see what he would do next. Queen Zalira never allowed anyone to unsettle her mind. She had survived betrayals, wars, and the darkest kind of pain. But the human named Evan, he was different in a way she could not explain. His calm eyes, his steady voice, his refusal to kneel, they were small things. But they shook something deep inside her that she had buried for years. She walked toward her private council chamber, her long cloak brushing against the dark stone floor. Her warriors followed behind her, whispering nervously. Why did she spare him? He insulted her. He should be dead. Humans are weak. Why is she curious? The Queen heard every word, but she ignored them. She pushed open the heavy metal door and entered the chamber. The room was carved with ancient symbols lit by soft blue flames. At the center was a large circular table where she usually planned battles. Today, she sat there for one reason only, to look deeper into the human who dared to stand equal to her. Evan was brought into the room, still unarmed, still calm. He looked around with quiet interest as if he wasn't walking into the lair of the most feared ruler in the galaxy. You may speak, the Queen said coldly. Evan nodded. I didn't come here to fight. I came here looking for a safe route across this region. I didn't know it was your land. Her eyes narrowed. And if you had known, then I still would have entered, he said simply. Because I don't choose my path based on fear. Her heartbeat changed for 1 second. Only one. But for her, that was enough to feel annoyed. You are either brave, she said slowly, or foolish. Maybe both, Evan replied. The Queen leaned forward slightly, her silver eyes studying every detail of him. His heartbeat was steady. His breathing was controlled. He didn't hide his emotions, yet he didn't let them control him. She found that interesting. Too interesting. What do humans want from my world? She asked. Nothing, he answered. I only want to leave peacefully. But you spoke boldly in my throne hall, she reminded him. That is not the behavior of someone who wants peace. I spoke honestly, Evan said. Your people expected fear. You expected kneeling. I don't lie to survive. The Queen's jaw tightened. Honesty was not something she heard often. Most males tried to please her with lies. They made promises, flattered her, showed fake strength. She hated all of them. But the human, he didn't flatter. He didn't promise. He didn't even try to protect himself with words. He simply told the truth. One of her generals stepped forward angry. Your Majesty, this creature is manipulating you. Give me permission to cut out his tongue. The Queen didn't look at the general. Step back, but step back. The general obeyed instantly. Evan watched quietly, noticing how her authority was absolute. But he also noticed something else. The Queen was protecting him in small, unexpected ways. She turned back to him. You should fear me. I don't, he said softly. Because fear blinds people, and I need clear eyes in a place like this. Her breath caught for a moment. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Steady, calm, respectful, but not submissive. A strange silence filled the room. It wasn't heavy like before. It was sharp, electric, almost alive. The Queen rose from her chair and walked around Evan slowly, like a predator examining prey that didn't behave correctly. You are different from the males I have seen, she said. Evan gave a small, honest smile. I'm just a human. No, she whispered. You are something else. Before she could question him further, the chamber doors burst open. A scout rushed in, breathing heavily. Your Majesty, a shadow tribe has crossed the border. They are moving toward the palace. The Queen's eyes flashed with dangerous light. Her warriors prepared instantly. Evan stood still, watching her reaction carefully. She turned to him, her expression cold again. This attack is not normal. Someone is testing my strength. Evan nodded slowly. Maybe they think you're distracted. Her eyes sharpened. Why would I be distracted? Because you kept me alive, Evan answered. And now everyone is talking. It was true. Her entire palace was buzzing with rumors. Some believed she was weakening. Others believed she was changing. Both ideas were dangerous. The Queen stepped closer to him, her voice low but tense. You will stay in the palace until I decide what to do with you. Don't try to escape. Evan met her eyes calmly. I wasn't planning to. Something in her chest tightened, a warning, a spark, a threat she didn't understand. For the first time in her life, Queen Zilira felt unsure of her own judgment, and the human, who still didn't kneel, was the reason. The palace shook as distant explosions echoed through the Queen's empire. The Shadow Tribe was attacking again, faster, bolder, stronger than before. But Queen Zilira's mind was not fully on the battlefield. Something else kept pulling her attention away. The human who stood quietly behind her guards. Evan, the man who didn't kneel, the man who didn't fear her, the man who didn't lie he shouldn't matter. He was nothing compared to the powers she commanded. Yet his presence stayed at the edge of her thoughts like a spark refusing to die. She walked through the War Council chamber, her steps strong but her mind uneasy. Her generals were arguing loudly. They aim for the southern gate. No, the east flank is weaker. They know our pattern. Someone is feeding them information. The Queen raised one hand and silence fell instantly. Enough, she said. We will test their intentions. A plan formed quickly in her mind, sharp, dangerous, and unexpected. She turned toward Evan. You. Step forward. The entire room stiffened. Evan walked up calmly, not showing a single sign of fear. You said you don't choose your path based on fear, she said. Then let me test that truth. Her warriors exchanged nervous looks. They knew what it meant when the Queen tested someone. Most never returned alive. Evan nodded. What do you want me to do? I want to see your strength, she replied. Not of body, but of spirit. She moved closer to him, her eyes studying every part of his face. Evan didn't step back. He didn't blink. He simply waited for her command. Follow me, she ordered. She led him through a hidden passage behind the throne. The air grew colder, filled with green mist rising from glowing stones. The hallway opened into an enormous chamber with tall walls carved in ancient alien symbols. This is the Hall of Truth, she said. Only those who have something to hide fear this place. Evan looked around quietly. And what happens here? You face a challenge, she replied. One that male warriors have tried for years and failed. He looked at her calmly. And you want me to try? Her eyes narrowed. Are you afraid? No, he said simply. If you want my truth, I'll give it. Something inside her tightened again. Annoyance, curiosity, and something more subtle that she couldn't name. She activated the chamber with a swipe of her hand. The walls lit up with red and blue symbols. A circle of glowing light appeared on the floor. Stand inside, she commanded. Evan stepped into the light without hesitation. The room darkened. Only the glowing circle remained. Your challenge, the Queen said, is to face your mind. The hall will show your greatest fear. Evan breathed slowly. All right, her eyes narrowed. Most scream. Most break. Some try to run, I'm not them, he said. The hall began to hum. Light wrapped around Evan, pulling him into the visions of his deepest fears. But the Queen did not look at the visions. Instead, she watched Evan. His breathing stayed steady. His hands did not shake. The hall showed him shadows of past pain, old regrets, lost faces. But he held firm. Minutes passed. Then more. Her strongest generals collapsed in half the time. Yet the human stood strong. And then something happened that shocked even the Queen. Evan stepped out of the glowing circle before the visions ended. The hall should have crushed him. It should have forced him to his knees. Instead, he walked out calmly and said, I already faced my fears long ago. The hall can't hurt me. The Queen's eyes widened, only for a moment, but enough to show real surprise. No one leaves the circle early, she said. I did, Evan replied softly, because I don't run from my past. I accept it. For the first time, her mask of control cracked. She stepped closer. Too close. Close enough to hear his heartbeat. You confuse me, she whispered. Humans are not meant to be this strong. Strength isn't always power, he said. Sometimes it's just honesty. Her chest tightened again, this time stronger. This wasn't weakness. This wasn't fear. It was something she hadn't felt since before her heart turned cold. She didn't like it. Before she could speak, a messenger rushed into the hall. Your Majesty. The Shadow Tribe reached the inner walls. They are breaking through. The Queen turned sharply, anger rising like fire. But as she prepared to lead her army, one thought refused to leave her mind. The human passed a test that no alien could survive. and now she felt a dangerous truth. Evan might be the one person in the galaxy she cannot control. The palace alarms echoed like thunder across the stone halls. Warriors rushed in every direction, preparing for battle, but Queen Zelira didn't move for several long seconds. She stood still, staring at Evan as if he had unlocked a door inside her that had been sealed for years. She had seen thousands of warriors break in the Hall of Truth. She had watched powerful males cry, "Scream, collapse!" Yet the human walked out calmly, carrying his pain like it was something he had already accepted. Most people hid their wounds. Evan didn't, and for a queen who trusted no one, this made him dangerous in a way she wasn't ready to face. She turned away sharply and walked out of the chamber. "Follow me," she ordered. Evan walked beside her, matching her pace without fear. The two of them moved through narrow torchlit corridors until they entered her private war room. Unlike the grand halls, this room was small, quiet, and filled with old holograms of fallen battles. It was a place she never let anyone enter, not even her generals. "You should stay here until I understand what you are," she said, her voice cold. "What I am," Evan repeated with a small smile. "I'm human." "No," the queen said. "Humans break." "You didn't," Evan met her eyes. "Everyone breaks. Some just learn how to stand again." Her breath caught in her throat, not because his words were clever, but because they were true, too true. For a moment, a dangerous silence stretched between them. Then she looked away, almost as if she was hiding something. "You saw something in the Hall of Truth," she said quietly. "Something painful." "That's the point of the test," Evan replied. "But you walked out," she whispered. Evan nodded slowly. "Because my fear isn't my master anymore." The queen's fingers curled into fists. "I once believed the same thing." He looked at her carefully. "Something happened to you." She stiffened, anger rising in her chest. No one was allowed to question her past. But this time the anger didn't feel sharp. It felt tired. Heavy. She turned to the window overlooking the burning horizon, watching smoke rise from the city walls. "This empire was not always mine," she said in a low voice. "I inherited it through war." Evan stayed silent, letting her speak. "My father ruled with kindness. My people loved him. But kindness—" She stopped, her voice tightening. "Kindness made him weak." Evan listened quietly, his eyes gentle. "One of his closest commanders betrayed him," she continued. "A male he trusted. A male I trusted," Evan understood. "You lost someone." "I lost everything," she said softly. "My father, my people's safety, and my belief that anyone could ever be loyal." Her voice trembled, so faintly that anyone else would have missed it. But Evan didn't. "That's why you trust no males," he said. She turned sharply. "Trust is death. And isolation is worse," Evan said gently. Her eyes flashed. "You dare speak like you know my pain?" "No," Evan said quietly. "But I know what it feels like to lose someone because I trusted them." Her anger cracked. Her heart reacted before her mind could stop it. She stepped back, staring at him as if seeing him for the first time. "What did you lose?" she asked. Evan looked down for a moment. "Someone I cared about. Someone I thought would stay." Her voice softened. "Did they betray you too?" "No," he said. "They died." The queen's breath slowed. Pain recognized pain, and for the first time in many years she didn't feel alone in a room. Before she could say anything, a sudden explosion shook the palace. Dust fell from the ceiling. The queen instantly returned to battle mode. "The Shadow Tribe is moving faster than expected," she growled. "Someone inside my palace is helping them." Evan frowned. "A traitor?" "Yes," she said. "Someone close." She grabbed her blade and turned toward him. Her eyes were sharp again, but not cold. Focused, burning with purpose. "You will stay near me," she said. "Until I find the traitor, you are safest at my side." Evan raised an eyebrow. "Safest for me." "Or for you?" The queen didn't answer. She simply walked to the door, her voice steady but low. "Do not leave my sight, human." Evan followed, and in that moment, neither of them realized the truth. The Shadow Tribe was not attacking randomly. They were attacking because of him. Because of the human who had changed everything inside the queen's heart. And the traitor hiding inside the palace was watching them both. The palace shook again, harder than before. Flames lit the distant sky, and the echo of war drums carried through the stone corridors. Queen Zelira stepped out onto the upper balcony, her eyes scanning the horizon. The Shadow Tribe had finally reached the inner walls. Their dark banners flashed like broken teeth across the battlefield. Her generals rushed to her side. "They have breached Gate 3. They are inside the lower city. We need immediate orders, my queen." But Zelira wasn't looking at her generals. She was looking at the human standing behind them. Evan watched the burning horizon with calm eyes. Not fearless, just steady. He had no weapon, no armor, yet he stood like someone who had already made peace with danger long ago. The queen stepped toward him. "Stay behind my guards," she ordered. "I can help," Evan replied. "You don't understand this war," she snapped. "I don't need to understand," Evan said softly. "I only need to stand where I'm needed." Her chest tightened for a moment. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one offered help without expecting power, reward, or safety. But before she could answer, a massive blast struck the balcony. The floor cracked and a shockwave threw everyone off balance. A group of Shadow Tribe assassins leaped up from the lower walls. Their blades pointed straight at the queen. Her guards reacted too slowly. Evan moved first. He grabbed the queen's arm and pulled her back, just as a blade sliced through the air where her throat had been. She didn't fall. Evan steadied her with both hands, keeping her upright. For a second, their faces were close, too close, and her breath caught in her throat. Then she remembered the danger. The assassins attacked again. This time, the queen fought. Her blade flashed with electric fury, splitting the air with burning arcs. Her movements were fast, graceful, deadly. She cut through the first two assassins effortlessly. The third tried to stab Evan from behind, but Evan ducked, grabbed a broken stone shard from the ground, and drove it into the attacker's arm. The assassin screamed. The queen finished him with one strike. When the last body fell, her guards finally caught up, surrounding her and Evan. "Your Majesty, are you hurt?" She didn't answer. Her mind was somewhere else. Her eyes were fixed on Evan's bleeding hand. "You're injured," she said. "It's nothing," he replied. Evan tried to brush it off, but the queen stepped closer, gripping his wrist gently, a softness none of her warriors had ever seen. "Your hand is bleeding. And you're alive," he said. "That's what matters." Her breath shook for just a second. She released his wrist quickly, as if afraid of her own reaction. Her generals stared in shock. Never in history had the queen shown concern for a male. Not once, not ever. One general whispered, "This human, he is changing her." Another muttered, "Or he is the reason this war is happening." The queen silenced them with a harsh glare. "Prepare the inner defenses. They will strike again." The generals hurried away, but Evan stayed by her side. "You saved me," she said quietly. "Why?" "Because I don't want to watch another leader fall," he answered. "Not when I can stop it." Something in her chest twisted painfully, not anger, not fear, but something she had forgotten how to feel. Before she could speak again, a scout ran toward them, panting. "Your Majesty, the Shadow Tribe. They shouted a message while fighting. They said they want the human. They said, 'Give us the human and we leave.'" The queen's eyes turned sharp. "They dare ask for what is mine?" Evan froze. "They're here because of me?" The scout nodded. "Yes, human. They said your presence breaks prophecy. They want you dead." A slow, dangerous fire lit inside the queen. "No one touches him," she growled. "Not while I breathe." Her guards exchanged stunned glances. Their queen had just claimed the human, publicly. And then something even stranger happened. The sky turned black with smoke as a second wave of shadow warriors climbed the palace walls. Hundreds of them. The queen pulled Evan behind her. "You stay close," she said, her voice low, commanding, almost protective. "If they want you, they'll have to go through me." Evan met her eyes. "Then I'm not going anywhere." For the first time since she became ruler, the queen didn't feel alone on the battlefield, but neither of them knew a darker truth. The traitor inside the palace was preparing the deadliest attack of all. The Shadow Tribe climbed the palace walls like a swarm of dark insects, their armor glowing with red symbols that pulsed like living fire. Queen Zelira stood at the front line, her blade raised, her tail curled in a defensive arc. She looked like a burning storm against the night sky, but inside her chest something was different. A strange fear, a new fear. A fear she didn't understand, not fear for herself, fear for the human standing beside her. Evan stayed close, breathing steady. He had no armor, no alien strength, no years of royal combat training. Yet he stood beside the queen as if the battlefield belonged to him. "You stay behind me," she ordered, "and leave you alone out here?" Evan replied, "No." She hated how his words hit her heart with more force than an enemy blade. The first wave of attackers leaped onto the balcony. The queen slashed through them with sharp, fast movements. Sparks flew, bodies fell, and blue fire burst from her hands as she unleashed her royal energy. Evan helped her by pushing fallen attackers away and warning her whenever another assassin appeared behind her. But then something strange happened. The queen's energy flickered, just for a moment, but enough to feel wrong. Her blade dimmed. Her strength dipped like a candle losing air. Evan noticed instantly. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," she snapped, swinging again. But she wasn't fine. Her wound from earlier, hidden beneath her armor, burned with a deep, dark poison. She had ignored it, believing she was strong enough to fight through anything. But the poison was spreading fast, weakening her power. The Shadow Tribe knew this. They planned this. They moved in faster. More warriors jumped onto the balcony. Evan pushed the queen aside just as a spear shot past her shoulder. For a moment she lost balance, and Evan grabbed her arm, steadying her again. "You need to fall back," he said. "I do not fall back," she hissed. "You will if you die." The words hit her harder than any weapon. She had never heard fear in someone else's voice about her. She had never been protected like this. It shook her more than she wanted to admit. A roar came from below. The enemy commander appeared, tall, armored in black metal, carrying a double-bladed staff crackling with red lightning. "Queen Zelira," the commander shouted, "your reign ends today." The queen stepped forward, ready to battle him. But her vision blurred. The poison was winning. Her legs trembled for the first time in years. Evan grabbed her shoulder. "You're not okay." "I said I'm fine," she growled, but her voice cracked. The commander saw her weakness and smiled. "You are falling," he said. "Just like your father." Something inside the queen snapped. Rage burst through her. She charged forward, screaming, striking the commander with a burst of blue fire, but her power failed halfway. The blast flickered and died. The commander swung his staff. A violent shockwave hit her directly in the chest, throwing her across the balcony. She hit the stone hard, gasping for breath. "Zelira!" Evan shouted, running to her. The commander laughed. "Look at the mighty queen, broken." Evan stepped in front of her. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't have armor. He had nothing but will. The commander swung his staff again, the red lightning crackling louder, ready to strike Evan and the queen both. Evan didn't move. He braced himself, shielding her with his body. The queen's eyes widened. "Evan, move!" "No, for once obey me," she shouted. But he didn't. The commander's attack launched toward them, a tornado of red energy ready to tear flesh from bone. At the last second, Evan spread his arms, taking the hit. The force threw him back into the queen. Pain shot through him, but he stayed upright, refusing to fall. He planted his feet, holding his ground even as the energy burned his skin. The queen stared at him in shock. "Why?" she whispered. Evan grit his teeth. "Because you're not alone anymore." Her heart stopped. No one had ever said that to her. No one ever dared. The attack ended. Evan collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. The queen's rage returned, stronger, sharper, fueled by something she couldn't admit yet. Not anger. Fear. For him. She stood, trembling but determined, her energy flickering like broken lightning. And she whispered something no one ever expected to hear. "Touch him again, and I will destroy your entire world." The commander paused, surprised. This was not the queen he knew. This was someone more dangerous, because she now had something to protect. But before anyone could move, a sharp whistle echoed from deep inside the palace. A signal, a traitor's signal. Someone inside her walls had opened the inner gates. The real attack was about to begin, and the queen realized the truth. The traitor wasn't targeting her. They were targeting Evan. The traitor's whistle echoed again, sharp, cold, and filled with betrayal. Queen Zelira's heart dropped as she realized the truth. Someone inside her palace had opened the inner gates so the Shadow Tribe could reach the human. Not her throne. Not her empire. Him. Evan struggled to stand beside her, breathing hard after taking the commander's attack. His skin was burned, his clothes torn, but he still placed himself between the Queen and danger. "You need to go," Evan said weakly. "If the gates are open, they'll come here first." "They will," she said, "and they will find me waiting." Another explosion shook the palace. Flames rose below them. The Queen's guards rushed toward her, shouting warnings. "Your Majesty, the enemy is inside the palace. They are coming from every hall. Retreat to the safe chamber." But Queen Zalira didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on Evan's trembling form. He tried to stand straight, but his legs shook with pain. Still, he kept looking at her like she mattered more than his own safety. "You protected me," she said quietly. Evan nodded. "Because you deserve someone who doesn't run." Something cracked inside her chest. Something she had buried under years of rage, years of fear, years of loneliness. For the first time in her reign, she felt human. Before she could speak, the Shadow Tribe burst through the doorway. Dozens of them. Their blades glowed red, their armor reflecting the fire behind them. Their commander stepped forward. "Give us the human," he said, "and we spare your palace." The Queen stepped in front of Evan. "No. You protect him like he is your mate," the commander mocked. Her eyes flashed with blue fire. "He is under my protection. Touch him, and you will never see another sunrise." The warriors charged. The final battle began. The Queen fought like a storm unleashed. Blue flames tore through the attackers. Her blade danced in sharp arcs, each strike filled with a mixture of fury and fear. But her power was unstable. The poison still burned in her veins. Her strikes slowed. Her breathing grew heavy. One shadow warrior slipped past her and lunged at Evan with a dagger. The Queen screamed, "No!" She threw herself toward Evan, but she wasn't fast enough. Evan grabbed the attacker's wrist, twisting the blade away, but he stumbled. Another warrior appeared behind him. The Queen moved with all the strength she had left, slammed into the attacker, and threw him off the balcony. But the attack drained her completely. She fell to her knees. "Zalira," Evan shouted, catching her before she hit the floor. Her vision blurred as she looked up at him. "I can't. Hold him back." "You don't have to," Evan said. "Not alone." She touched his face with a trembling hand. "Why do you keep risking your life for me?" His voice was soft, honest. "Because someone has to remind you your heart still works." Those simple words cut deeper than any blade. The commander stepped forward again, raising his crackling staff. "Enough games. The human dies now." Evan stood in front of the Queen again, unarmed, shaking, barely able to breathe. But he didn't move, he didn't run, he didn't hide. The commander swung his staff, aimed straight at Evan's chest. The Queen's vision sharpened. She couldn't lose. Him, not now, not ever. She reached, deep inside herself, past the poison, past the pain, past the years of cold armor she built around her heart, and unleashed a roar that shook the entire palace. Blue flames exploded from her body. The shockwave ripped through the hall, throwing the commander and every other attacker backward. The balcony cracked. The walls shook. Fire burst from the floor like living light. When the smoke cleared, only she and Evan remained standing. Barely. The commander tried to rise, but he collapsed. He was defeated. And for the first time since this war began, silence filled the palace. The Queen looked at Evan, her chest rising in weak breaths. "You saved me," she whispered. "So did you," he said with a tired smile. Her vision blurred again, but this time from emotion, not poison. She lowered her head, something she had never done in her life. "Don't leave me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please, I beg you. Stay." The words were soft. Human. Vulnerable. Words the Savage Queen had never spoken to any living soul. Evan gently took her hand. "I'm here," he said, "and I'm not going anywhere." Her people watched their queen, strongest ruler in the galaxy, lean into a human's embrace. And none dared judge her, because everyone knew the truth. The savage alien queen, who once rejected every male in the universe, had finally found the one person she could trust, and she had begged him to stay.